Like, at this point, Griffith is Super Jesus. Like, he's practically impossible to even touch. Like, you can hurt him if you're even fast enough to perceive him. He's on a completely different plane of existence, and he can fight super apostles like it's nothing. Like, to think that Guts will just go Goku and fucking go into the hyperbolic time chamber till he can hit him is just silly. Today we're going to be having a discussion. Today's discussion is going to be on Berserk. We haven't talked about manga here before, but I want to make it clear that if anything interesting manga-wise does happen, I do plan on talking about it because I am also into manga stuff. I'm into a lot of different things. I'm not really just a one-track mind type of guy. I keep my eye on a lot of different news, so... one series I've been into for a while is Berserk, and I actually read through all of Berserk, and I was devastated when the original author of Berserk died last year, and I thought that we would never be getting a continuation, because usually with Japan, this isn't a normal thing for the main series to get a continuation after the creator die. But luckily, we are getting a continuation of Berserk. The original author's best friend, from since he was 15 years old, is going to be taking up the writing duties. And if anybody knows anything about writing, it would be like the guy's best friend. So I'm assuming that it's in good hands writing-wise. And art-wise, even though I don't like his friend's art style, his friend will not be doing the art. It's actually the people who would help with the art in the official manga. So we have the understudies and assistants continuing the artwork, and the guy's best friend continuing the story. So if Mioru's work needs to be continued, this is like the best way that it could be done. And here recently, we not only got one new chapter, we got two new chapters back to back, and we also got the finished version of the chapter that Mioru was working on before he died. So we've gotten like three chapters in the span of like 1 year, which is crazy because with Berserk that's a rarity. Like, you'd be lucky to get one chapter in a decent span of time, let alone three. So it's really insane that we're going to be getting this stuff, and we're supposed to be getting another chapter this year. So we're getting quite a bit of stuff for Berserk, and it's insane to think of this. Like, Berserk saw such a fucking such an increase in popularity recently. Like, it's insane. People have been begging for a good Berserk anime, and I really hope we do get one eventually. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that they are.
Please.
I'm glad that they're capitalizing on this, and they are going to be continuing the manga. Now, I want to talk about some of the downsides to this. Despite it being Mioru's best friend who is continuing this story, I want to bring up the real possibility that his vision may not be Mioru's vision, and it may not be everyone else's vision. So I am kind of concerned about the story going forward, because I'm worried about, will people like the ending? Will people be satisfied with the ending? Because it seems like to me that there is a decent portion of the fandom that just wants Guts to be a screaming monster and murder Griffith. And I don't think that was Mioru's ending, and I think that people will be disappointed if it isn't that. Honestly, I don't want to say what I think the ending will be, because, like, I don't want to spoil it and I don't want to fucking push my opinions on you guys, but I personally don't see it going in that way. And if this was a story of revenge, we wouldn't have got Casca getting her memory back and turning back into herself. We would have just killed off Casca and gave Guts more fucking reasons to be angry. Like, I think the fact that Casca living, fucking Guts getting a whole bunch of new friends, like, I think all of that is proof. that it is not meant to be just a story of revenge. It's a story of heart. It's a story of hoping. It's a story of like salvation, like moving forward despite everything telling you should die. Like I don't think it's
Yeah,
just a revenge story. To me, it
I
seems
think
like it takes a lot from Devilman, but I don't think it will ever get as nihilistic as Devilman.
no. I think the story is a lot more deep and complex just for it to end up being just a story of revenge.
Yeah, I think
I don't
that
think
if
it'll end that way.
I think that if certain fans got their way, the story would end like Devilman, where spoiler alert, Guts and Griffith just fight till the end of the world. And
Yeah.
I think that would be a very meh ending. I think that it should be deeper than that. Like at this point, Griffith is super Jesus. Like he's practically impossible to even touch. Like you can hurt him if you're even fast enough to perceive him. He's on a completely different plane of existence and he can fight super apostles like it's nothing. Like to think that Guts will just go Goku and fucking go into the hyperbolic time chamber till he can hit him is just silly. I don't think Guts is gonna get some new power up. I don't think he's gonna get some new magical item to fight Griffith. I think he's gonna have to learn that there's more than one way to win a battle. It doesn't always have to be the fucking run in head first. One of the whole fucking things is with Shiriki is that she is connected to the spiritual plane and she can use magic. If she doesn't play a big role in the ending of Berserk, that's going to be a huge disappointment. I don't think it'll just be Guts with his big sword stabbing the bad guy. I think that
No.
I think that that's not the ending that they were going for. And the whole reason that side tangent is like, will the ending you get be the ending you want? And I think that despite this being a good thing that the story is getting continued, there are going to be some people insisting that this isn't the way it was meant to be and that this isn't their Berserk. I do
Yeah.
see a divide in the fandom coming. It hasn't happened yet because the Berserk fandom is actually really fucking good, and I really like them. They're really awesome people. But I could see it happening in the future, especially when if he does go for what I think the original envisionment of Berserk was, I think people will think it's too soft. And they might fucking try to rebel against it, especially for the people who've only recently got into it and know it more for just the fucking hack and slash and murder. Like, I could see people being turned off by the more magical and whimsical elements of Berserk, which it does have a lot of. Berserk is a story of hope as much as it is a story of despair.
Yeah. It's always really been that way.
Yeah. So, for me personally, I'm just happy to be getting a continuation. I was happy to be getting Dragon Ball Super, even though the Dragon Ball Super manga isn't entirely done by Toriyama. I was happy to be getting new content from practically anything. Like, if you're a comic book fan, having new writers and new artists isn't a revolutionary thing. It happens all the time in the American comic book industry. So
Hmm.
this isn't such an outlandish idea. It's just not too common when it comes to Japanese stuff. Like I
Yeah,
know High
no.
School of the Dead, when it fucking ended, it ended. Like its creator also died, but High School of the Dead really wasn't good to begin with. Sorry for the fucking weebs who might be watching. Yeah, I didn't like High School of the Dead. You won't see me weep a tear for its cancellation, and I won't really be begging for it to come back. It's like Sword Art Online, but with zombies, and eh. The characters are
Yeah.
too overpowered. The storyline is just fucking wish fulfillment, fucking fantasy shit. It's just not appealing to me. But it's good that something like Berserk, something that's been going on since the fucking 1980s, something that changed all of fucking anime and fucking manga as a whole, something that has such an impact. Like so many things are inspired by Berserk, like Cloud Strife, fucking like a bunch of different fucking RPG video games were inspired by Berserk. If you see a guy with a big sword, chances are it was inspired by Berserk. And the reason why
Well,
Berserk got big again is because the new Elden Ring was
yeah.
heavily inspired by Berserk.
Yeah, exactly.
So Berserk has a lasting legacy and it has a giant fandom, and I would have hated if it just ended with Miuru's death. So I'm glad that Miuru's friend has stepped up to continue his best friend's work, and I'm glad that the people who worked under Miuru, who can pretty much copy his art style perfectly, are willing to continue his work. I'd
Yeah,
say we're
absolutely.
going to be getting updates a lot more frequently. It's going to be more like a serialized manga. The company is definitely going to make sure of that. So don't expect the level of insane fucking detail like in Miuru's artwork. Expect good enough from the artwork. And that's what I saw in the new chapters. Like, no page in the new chapters was like, oh my god, this is just like Miuru. But it's like, it's Miuru enough. It's Miuru light. I can, I
Right.
can, I can take what they're giving me and be fine with it. Like, as long as it looks and feels like Berserk and tries to fucking give it an ending, I'm satisfied. The ending may not be what was intended, the ending may not be perfect, but for me, I'm just happy to get an ending. Because I would hate to have this giant epic that went on for decades just end with nothing. Just
Yeah,
end with the creator's death. And I get that
yeah.
the story that comes after will never be his story, but I think it's important to continue the legacy, and just like the myths of old, like Beowulf, these stories need to be told. These stories
Hmm.
need to be concluded. These stories have to fucking wrap up. Like,
Yeah.
it would be disappointed if you got told the stories of Hercules and all of his labors, but it ends before he gets his conclusion.
Exactly. Like, I think it's been built up for so long. It'd be really, really depressing and just a missed opportunity for it to just end because the guy died.
We just got Casca back. We just found out Griffith's the Moonlight Child. We found out so much about Berserk. It has to continue. And
Yeah.
regardless of what the fandom will think, if the fandom does turn toxic, they're not yet, but I will stick with Berserk and I will continue reading it regardless. Because this wouldn't be the first time an arc disappointed me. Like, the arcs don't always go the way I envisioned them to, and that's a good thing. It means that
Yeah.
it's not predictable. It means that they do have a story that they're trying to tell, and they're not just trying to please me, the reader. They're not just going
Exactly.
off of expectations. This isn't a My Hero Academia, no offense to that fandom, or a Dragon Ball, where you always know how the story's gonna end. And I'm satisfied with that. I'm satisfied with an unsatisfying ending. Like, the Lost Children arc disappoints a lot of people, but I think it's a damn good arc because of the story it was telling. And it doesn't matter if, like, at the end of the day, Guts kills a child who turned into an apostle and it's really depressing. That story is meant to reflect Guts and Griffith's relationship, so I understand it and I accept its role in the overall narrative. I don't care if it makes Guts look like a dickhead, because that's kind of the point of the story. Guts is still at his lowest, and he has to rise above it to become better. And that's why I don't want Guts to go back to that, because he's past that. And if the story continues with Guts, like, going down the path he's going on, becoming a better person and learning to fucking not just rely on violence, to rely on his friends, to rely on other ways to fucking fight the apostles and Griffith, I'll be happy with it. So I'm satisfied with the continuation, and I hope that you guys are, and I hope that the Berserk fandom is.
Yeah. Hopefully, again, like, it will be completed at some point, and it's not just left to die again.
Also, for the new people who are hopping onto the channel, these are completely unscripted, like, discussions slash rants. Don't expect it to always make sense, and don't expect things to not contradict themselves. This isn't meant to be a video essay or anything. It's literally just two people chatting. So if you hear contradictions or you hear something that you don't agree with, that's fine. Hopefully you just like the discussion. You'll sit here and talk with us.